Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we have an exciting lesson for everyone out there, very cultural.
Exactly, very closely related to our Halloween lesson that we had, but on this occasion, we're going to be looking at All Saints' Day.
All right, so this is a festival that's celebrated in many different countries, and we're learning today about some of the ceremonies and practices in those countries that are very closely tied to those local cultures.
Exactly. So we're going to learn a little bit about culture, and at the same time, we're going to learn some great words and phrases. So let's get started with this dialogue for the first time. The Day of the Dead has arrived. All Souls Day and All Saints Day.
Your neighbor is crazy. Why is he screaming that?
Because today is the 1st of November, the Day of the Dead.
Oh, that's right.
This is a very special day among many cultures around the world, especially in Latin America.
Seriously? I thought it was just like any other day, except for the fact that people visit the cemetery and remember their loved ones.
Well, that's just part of it. People across the world celebrate in different ways. In Mexico, for example, it's common to see people building private altars honoring the deceased, using sugar skulls, preparing the favorite foods and beverages of the departed, and visiting graves with these as gifts. In the Philippines, the tombs are cleaned or repainted. Candles are lit and flowers are offered. Entire families camp out in cemeteries and sometimes spend a night or two near the relatives' tombs.
Whoa, that's scary. I don't know if I could do that.
Why? We should fear the living, not the dead.
And we're back. So did you know about these traditions in the Philippines and in Mexico?
I know about the Mexican ones because there's a lot of Mexicans where I come from in Chicago, and they still celebrate these things. But I didn't know about the Philippines, so I found this really interesting.
Interesting, right? Actually, yeah, the Philippines as well as Mexico are very Catholic countries, so maybe that's one of the reasons why they have such they have these events that are so important for their culture.
I'm sure, yeah.
All right, so before we start talking a little bit more about the culture, why don't we take a look at language takeaway?
Language takeaway.
All right, the first word is a very common word, especially if you're a church-going person. The word is altar.
Okay, and an altar.
An altar. It's a thing.
It's a thing, and an altar is usually found inside a church, as you said, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So it's like a...
Table.
It's like a table.
Or a counter. So the altar in the church is where the priest does all of the stuff that he does during the Mass. It's where he prepares the bread and the wine, and it's essentially a table, yeah.
But you can build an altar for yourself in your garden, for example, right? And it doesn't have to do with the Catholic religion necessarily.
No, not necessarily. You could have an altar in a Greek pagan temple where you give offerings to a god or goddess. And so in this case, an altar is a special religious table where you perform certain religious rites or functions.
Okay, very interesting. All right, and so it's common in Mexico for people to build private altars honoring the deceased. So what is this word deceased?
All right, deceased is a noun. It's a word that we use to call someone who's dead or departed. So the deceased was named John Smith.
So it's like a more technical term of saying somebody is dead.
Right, and it's something that you'll often read in the newspaper when they don't want to say the dead guy. You know, they say the deceased was a doctor and he is survived by 3 children. And so deceased is a way to describe a person in a nicer way.
Right, very good, the deceased. And you mentioned another word that's very closely related to deceased, the departed.
That's right, and this is actually a famous word because of a Martin Scorsese movie that came out about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And departed, you know the word to depart, to leave.
To leave, right.
A person that is a departed is someone who has left us. It's
left this world.
Yeah, it's a dead person.
So you can say the deceased or the departed, which basically means the same thing as the dead guy or the dead person.
Exactly. But again, it's much more polite. It's something that we hear often at funerals or that we read in magazines.
Okay, so for example, All Saints Day is a way of honoring the departed.
Exactly. Very nice sounding.
Yeah, it sounds better. All right, so talking a little bit more about the departed and the traditions, it says here that many Mexicans use sugar skulls or have sugar skulls during this festivity.
That's right. So a skull is the bones from a person's head. All right, and so you can often see these on for example, pirate ships, we say skull and crossbones.
Right.
And so it's the bones from a head, and you have the bones underneath. And it's a very popular image on Halloween because it's scary.
Yeah.
But a skull is essentially the bones from a head.
So it's like a person's head without the skin, eyes, lips, everything.
Right. It's scary because it has empty black spaces
yeah.
where the eyes are supposed to be, and you can see all the teeth, but nothing else.
What about the sugar skulls? What are these? They're skulls made of sugar.
That's right. And so they look like skulls because there's no cheeks and they're not really, there's no skin or eyes, but they're beautiful because the Mexicans in their tradition, they color the sugar. So you can have white skulls with this beautiful green and pink and red and blue decorations. And you can eat them because they're made of sugar. And
Exactly.
so it's a special treat that people have in the Mexican tradition on the Day of the Dead.
Very good. All right. And one of the many traditions, apart from sugar skulls and building private altars, they also visit the person's tomb, if possible, right?
Exactly. So a tomb is an important word.
So what is a tomb?
A tomb is a place where someone is buried. It's a space or a place. And it can be big or small, but it's essentially the resting place of a dead person.
All right. So a tomb, where the person is. And actually, on the tomb, you have the tombstone, right?
That's right. And a tombstone is the same as a gravestone. And it's a piece of rock on which you write the name and the birth date and the death date of the person that is buried there.
Right. So that's the tombstone. Very good. Okay, so an interesting amount of words here on Language Takeaway. Why don't we listen to this dialogue again, and we'll be right back with Fluency Builder.
Your neighbor is crazy. Why is he screaming that?
Because today is the 1st of November, the Day of the Dead.
Oh, that's right.
This is a very special day among many cultures around the world, especially in Latin America.
Seriously? I thought it was just like any other day, except for the fact that people visit the cemetery and remember their loved ones.
Well, that's just part of it. People across the world celebrate in different ways. In Mexico, for example, it's common to see people building private altars honoring the deceased, using sugar skulls, preparing the favorite foods and beverages of the departed, and visiting graves with these as gifts. In the Philippines, the tombs are cleaned or repainted. Candles are lit and flowers are offered. Entire families camp out in cemeteries and sometimes spend a night or two near the relatives' tombs.
Whoa, that's scary. I don't know if I could do that.
Why? We should fear the living, not the dead.
All right, we're back. So why don't we look at 3 main phrases on Fluency Builder now?
Fluency Builder.
Well, the first phrase should be obvious by now because it is the name of the holiday we're talking about, and the name is the Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead. So this is their day.
It is, and it's the Day of the Dead because it's the day in which people around the world celebrate the departed. It's when they talk about and remember people that they've loved who have died.
Okay. So it's not really like a sad day, right? It's more of a happy remembering them and honoring them and how much you miss them, but in a good way.
Exactly, and you're not actually going to hear this very often in reference to American culture because it's not something Americans do, and English people don't do either. But people, when they're talking about their own families and traditions, will want to talk about this because in the Philippines or in Latin America, you have a very strong culture, like a very strong tradition of celebrating this. So,
All right, and as we mentioned, this day is a day to honor or to remember your loved ones, and that's our second phrase, your loved ones.
the phrase loved ones might not be obvious to many people because you can love many people and many things, but loved ones is a phrase that generally means the people that you care about the most, your friends and your family. So you could say, I want to have a party, but I only want my loved ones to be there.
Okay.
Or he was in the hospital and all of his loved ones visited him.
So it's all those people, not necessarily only family. It's friends and family that you love.
Exactly. And so those are the people in the world that are the very closest to you.
Okay. And our last phrase, and probably one of the most interesting traditions that we were able to see in this dialogue, is that people in the Philippines camp out in cemeteries on their family or loved one's tomb.
That's right. So the phrase to camp out means to stay overnight, to bring food and a tent or blankets. And it essentially means to make a camp so you can stay there. And this is very unusual to me because I can't imagine sleeping in a graveyard. I think I get the goosebumps.
Right. So camp out, or you can just say camp, right? You don't
Right.
necessarily have to say both of them.
Right. You can camp or you can camp out. And camp out generally means that you're staying in a place that is temporary.
Okay. Very good. So interesting phrases as well on Fluency Builder today. Let's listen to the dialogue for the last time, and we'll be right back. The Day of the Dead has arrived. All Souls Day and All Saints Day.
Your neighbor is crazy. Why is he screaming that?
Because today is the 1st of November, the Day of the Dead.
Oh, that's right.
This is a very special day among many cultures around the world, especially in Latin America.
Seriously? I thought it was just like any other day, except for the fact that people visit the cemetery and remember their loved ones.
Well, that's just part of it. People across the world celebrate in different ways. In Mexico, for example, it's common to see people building private altars honoring the deceased, using sugar skulls, preparing the favorite foods and beverages of the departed, and visiting graves with these as gifts. In the Philippines, the tombs are cleaned or repainted. Candles are lit and flowers are offered. Entire families camp out in cemeteries and sometimes spend a night or two near the relatives' tombs.
Whoa, that's scary. I don't know if I could do that.
Why? We should fear the living, not the dead.
All right, we're back. So, Catherine, you mentioned that in Anglo-Saxon culture, England, or in the United States, you don't have this type of tradition of honoring the dead or something like that. But you do visit the tomb of your loved ones or the cemetery as well, right?
People do, definitely.
But you just don't have a national day where you do this.
Well, Veterans Day is a day when we celebrate people who were killed in wars or people who participated in wars. So in America, we have a day called Memorial Day in which we remember the people who have died serving the country in the military. And so Memorial Day is a day in which many people like to go to the graveyards and to lay flowers or to remember the dead. But it really depends on your family. I mean, some people like to go the day a person died and on the anniversary or on a special day for them. So it's very private and personal and individual.
Right.
It's not something that we all do on one particular day.
Right. And I think what may strike many people as different is that you visit the cemetery, and if you ever have the chance to be in Mexico or in a Hispanic country, you will see that it's full of people, and it's actually there's a lot of food and people are there eating on the tomb and they've actually prepared the food that was the deceased's favorite.
Wow, that's really nice though as a gesture because it's another way to remember the person and to celebrate how like things that were happy for them.
Exactly, and it's a way of actually sharing a meal with that person even though that person isn't with you anymore in this world. So it's actually very interesting. It goes back again to a little bit of the culture and the folklore and everything from different countries, but we want to know what you guys do or how you remember your deceased because each country has its own particular little very interesting way of doing it.
That's right. So please share with us on our website, englishpod.com, your own traditions and the culture that you have in your home country or town. And we're very curious to hear those. But also, if you have questions, as always, please ask because we're happy to answer those.
All right. So we'll see you guys there.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to the English Podcast Zone. I'm really glad you're here today because we are going to explore something both fascinating and meaningful: how different cultures remember and honor people who have passed away. Around the world, there are beautiful traditions that help people stay connected to their loved ones, even after they are gone. One of the most powerful examples is the celebration known as the Day of the Dead. This day is not about fear or sadness. It's about memory, love, and respect. In some countries, especially in Latin America and the Philippines, this time of year is full of color, candles, and community. People don't hide from the idea of death. Instead, they welcome the chance to celebrate the lives of their loved ones. And through this, they keep those memories alive. Let's begin with a closer look at the Day of the Dead in Mexico. It takes place on the 1st and 2nd of November. Families build altars in their homes, decorated with flowers, candles, photos, and favorite foods of those who have passed. These altars are not just decorations. They are deeply personal spaces. The word altar may be new to some of you. It usually refers to a special table used in religious ceremonies. In this case, it's a place to show love and honor to someone who is no longer with us. You might also hear the word deceased. It's a polite or formal way to say someone has died. For example, they built an altar to remember the deceased. Another word with the same meaning is departed, like in the sentence, "We pray for the souls of the departed." These words are often used in writing or in respectful speech, especially during funerals or memorial services. Another special symbol from the Mexican tradition is the sugar skull. These are small skulls made from sugar and brightly decorated with colors and designs. You might think skulls are scary, but in this case, they are a joyful way to remember the dead. Children eat them, families place them on altars, and they are a reminder that death is a part of life, not something to fear, but something to understand. These traditions show us how language and culture come together. When you learn words like altar, deceased, departed, and skull, you're not just learning vocabulary. You're discovering how people express love, memory, and respect across generations. So today, think about how your own culture remembers those who have passed. Is it quiet and private, or public and colorful? There's no single right way to remember someone, but every culture has its own beautiful path. In the Philippines, remembering the dead is not a quiet event, it's a lively family gathering. Every year, on the first 2 days of November, families visit the cemeteries where their loved ones are buried. They clean the graves, light candles, bring flowers, and sometimes even stay the night. Yes, entire families camp out in cemeteries. They bring food, play music, and spend time together, right beside the tombs of their ancestors. The phrase camp out might sound surprising in this context. Normally, we use it when people stay outdoors in tents, like during a camping trip. But here, it means spending the night in a temporary setup, blankets, chairs, food, all arranged near a grave. It might sound unusual to some people, but for many Filipinos, this is a way to show care and connection. The dead are not forgotten. They are part of the family story. Now, let's look at some useful vocabulary. One important word is tomb. A tomb is the place where a person is buried. It can be a simple grave or a large, decorated structure. On the tomb, you'll often see a tombstone or gravestone, which shows the name of the person and the dates they lived. These stones sometimes include messages of love or religious quotes. You may also hear the phrase loved ones. This is a very warm and emotional expression. Loved ones are the people you care about deeply, your family, close friends, and sometimes even pets. So when we say, people visit the tombs of their loved ones, it means they are remembering those they loved who have passed away. Another meaningful word is honor. To honor someone means to show great respect. It's more than remembering. It means acting in a way that shows appreciation for their life. When people clean a grave, light a candle, or prepare a loved one's favorite meal, they are honoring that person's memory. These traditions are powerful, not only because they help people remember, but because they bring families together. Children learn from their parents, and the stories of those who came before are passed down. Even in the presence of death, there is life, laughter, and learning. If you ever visit the Philippines during this time, you'll see cemeteries full of light and people. It's not a sad place. It's a place of stories, songs, and togetherness. And that teaches us something very deep, not to fear death, but to cherish the memories we carry. Let's take a moment to understand how language can reflect emotions and cultural values. When people talk about death in English, they often choose gentle or respectful words. For example, instead of saying someone died, many people say they passed away. This is called a euphemism, a softer or more polite way to express something serious or uncomfortable. You already know words like deceased and departed. These are also euphemisms. They help us speak respectfully about someone who has died. In a sentence, you might say, "The ceremony honored the departed." That sounds calm and thoughtful. If you said, "The ceremony honored the dead guy," it would sound too casual or even rude. Learning the tone of a word is just as important as learning its meaning. Now let's look at another phrase, rest in peace. This is something you often see written on tombstones or in funeral speeches. It means we hope the person is at peace after death. In short, people often say or write RIP as a respectful farewell. These phrases are part of something larger, cultural sensitivity. Different cultures view death in different ways. Some people cry, others laugh and tell stories. Some bring flowers, while others bring food and music. In Mexico, for example, the Day of the Dead is not only about loss. It's a celebration of life. Families decorate their homes with colorful paper, candles, and flowers called marigolds, bright orange blossoms believed to guide the spirits of the departed back home. Marigolds are called cempasúchil in Spanish, and they play a special role in the Day of the Dead. The strong scent and vibrant color help lead the way for the souls returning for a short visit. This shows how flowers, in many traditions, are more than decorations. They carry deep meaning. Another important part of these celebrations is food. Families often cook the favorite dishes of the person they are honoring. This is not just about eating. It's a symbolic act, a way to share a moment with someone who is no longer physically present. In Mexico, a sweet bread called pan de muerto is commonly made and offered. In the Philippines, traditional snacks like rice cakes are prepared and brought to the tombs. Through all of this, language, flowers, food, and memory, we see how humans create rituals to deal with loss. These practices comfort the living and give dignity to those who are gone. And as language learners, when you understand these traditions, you gain not only vocabulary but a deeper cultural awareness that will help you speak with compassion and care. Now let's explore how these traditions around death are not only emotional, but deeply tied to history and religion. Understanding this helps us use the right words when talking about different cultures. For example, both Mexico and the Philippines are countries with strong Catholic roots. That's why holidays like All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day are widely celebrated there. Let's break down what these 2 days mean. All Saints' Day, observed on November 1st, is a Christian holiday dedicated to remembering all saints, known and unknown. A saint is someone who lived a holy life and is honored by the Church. The next day, All Souls' Day, is focused on remembering all faithful departed, ordinary people who have passed away. In English, when people talk about these days, you might hear phrases like "Let's light a candle for All Souls' Day" or "We attend church on All Saints' Day." Many of the traditions around the Day of the Dead combine these Catholic beliefs with older, indigenous customs. That's why in Mexico, you see a mix of Christian symbols, like crosses and prayers, with older elements like skulls and altars. This blending of traditions is called syncretism. It's when two different belief systems mix together to create something new. Learning this word helps you talk about culture in a more informed way. Now, let's look at some expressions that are useful when discussing spiritual practices. One is pay respects. This means to show honor, often in a quiet or formal way. You might say, "We visited the cemetery to pay our respects." Another useful phrase is "in memory of." This is often written on flowers, cards, or stones, for example, "In memory of Maria Lopez." It's a simple way to say, "We haven't forgotten you." Also, when talking about people who have passed away, English speakers often use the phrase "no longer with us." For example, "My grandfather is no longer with us, but we remember him every year." This is a gentle way of saying someone has died. And when people gather to honor the dead, they don't only sit in silence. Many families tell stories. They share photos. They laugh. These acts help younger generations learn about the past. In language learning, this is a great opportunity to practice narration in the past tense. For instance, you might say, "He used to sing every morning," or "She always made the best soup." These small sentences bring a memory to life. As you can see, remembering the dead is not just about sadness. It's about connection. It's about keeping the spirit of someone alive through language, food, symbols, and traditions. And when we learn to speak about this topic in English, we are not just practicing grammar, we are learning to communicate with kindness and cultural understanding. Let's take a deeper look at the vocabulary and grammar that often appear in conversations about honoring the dead. These words are useful not only in cultural discussions, but also in writing stories, giving speeches, or sharing personal experiences in English. One key word is remembrance. This noun comes from the verb remember and refers to the act of keeping someone or something in your memory. For example, people might say, "They held a ceremony in remembrance of their grandfather." It's often used in formal settings, like memorial services or public speeches. Another helpful expression is a moment of silence. This phrase means people stop talking or moving for a short time to show respect. You might hear, "Let's observe a moment of silence for those who have passed." This is common in many English-speaking countries during public events, especially when remembering victims of war, tragedy, or natural disasters. Now let's focus on some verbs that are commonly used when talking about death in a respectful way. One is mourn. To mourn means to feel or express deep sadness about someone's death. For instance, the whole community mourned the loss of their teacher. You can also use the adjective mourning, as in they were in mourning for several weeks. Another important verb is commemorate. To commemorate someone means to do something special to remember them, often on an anniversary or holiday. For example, we commemorate our ancestors every November with a family gathering. This word is especially helpful when describing cultural or national events. Now let's include some grammar tips. When you speak about the dead in a personal or emotional way, you often use the past simple to describe what the person used to do. She cooked every Sunday. He told the best stories. You can also use used to show past habits. They used to walk by the lake together every morning. These grammar patterns help you express memories clearly and naturally. Let's not forget legacy. This word means something a person leaves behind, values, ideas, or even traditions. It's often said that someone left behind a strong legacy. For example, her kindness and laughter are part of her legacy. This word helps express the lasting impact of someone's life. When we talk about these things in English, it's not only about vocabulary. It's about expressing feelings with accuracy and care. Whether you're writing a letter, giving a toast, or talking with a friend, knowing how to speak with respect and emotion is a real communication skill. And by learning these words and phrases, you'll not only improve your English, you'll grow in empathy and understanding. Let's now explore how these traditions connect with emotions, family bonds, and the sense of belonging. In many cultures, remembering the dead is not just a private act. It's a community event. Families come together. Neighbors join. Even distant relatives travel to participate. This is more than tradition. It's about shared memory, a phrase that means everyone is holding the same memories and honoring them together. In English, you might say, "We gathered to share memories of our grandmother." Or, "It was a moment of shared memory and reflection." These are powerful phrases that help describe emotional and meaningful moments. Let's talk more about the word reflection. In everyday English, it can mean thinking deeply about something. For example, the ceremony was a time of reflection. When people light candles or place flowers on a grave, they are often quiet, thoughtful. That silence is filled with love, questions, and memories. Reflection helps people understand what matters most in life. Now let's look at a beautiful phrase, keep someone's memory alive. This means doing things that help you remember someone. For example, we keep his memory alive by cooking his favorite meal every year. Or, she plants roses every spring to keep her father's memory alive. This expression is common in English, and it shows how remembering someone can be active and full of love. Another expression is pass down. This means to give something, like a story, habit, or object, from one generation to the next. For example, my mother passed down this photo album to me. Or, these traditions were passed down from our grandparents. It's a useful phrasal verb when talking about cultural or family history. We also often use the phrase pay tribute. This means to show deep respect or admiration for someone. For example, they paid tribute to the victims with music and poems. This phrase is common in both formal and informal English and is often used in news, speeches, and personal stories. Another key word is ritual. A ritual is a repeated action that has special meaning. Lighting a candle, saying a prayer, cooking a certain dish, these can all be rituals. You can say, visiting the grave became a family ritual, or every year, we repeat the same ritual to remember our ancestors. Rituals help people feel grounded, connected, and at peace. So, through expressions like shared memory, keep their memory alive, pass down, pay tribute, and ritual, English gives us a rich way to express love, history, and respect. These aren't just words. They are tools for honoring the past while building emotional strength in the present. As we explore deeper into cultural traditions around honoring the dead, it's clear that language plays an essential role, not only in what we say but in how we say it. Tone, expression, and choice of words help us express complex emotions with clarity and compassion. Let's take some time to focus on how English learners can use these skills to speak about personal loss or cultural remembrance in a thoughtful and confident way. One key expression is celebrate their life. This phrase is very common in English-speaking cultures, especially at funerals or memorial services. Instead of focusing only on the sadness of death, people say, "We are here to celebrate her life." It means remembering the good times, the joy, and the achievements. You might also hear, "His life was short, but it's worth celebrating." This positive tone helps bring comfort during difficult moments. Another gentle and respectful phrase is "gone but not forgotten." You'll often find this written on sympathy cards, tombstones, or in speeches. It expresses the idea that someone may have died, but they are still remembered with love. For example, "She's gone but not forgotten by those who knew her." Let's explore a few more useful terms and phrases. The word grief refers to the deep emotional pain people feel when they lose someone. It's often said that grief has no schedule, meaning that everyone heals in their own time. You can also hear the verb grieve, as in, they are still grieving their loss. These words can help learners describe emotional states with sensitivity. In writing or conversation, you may want to express support for others. A common and polite phrase is "my condolences." This simply means, "I'm sorry for your loss." It's formal and respectful. You might also say, "Please accept my condolences," or "We send our deepest condolences to the family." Sometimes, people also speak of someone's spirit or soul when talking about death. These words can have religious or spiritual meaning, depending on the person's beliefs. For example, "Her spirit lives on in our hearts," or "May his soul rest peacefully." These expressions show comfort, respect, and connection beyond the physical world. And here's a valuable grammar point. When remembering someone, English speakers often use would to describe past habits. For instance, "He would always bring me flowers on my birthday," or "She would tell the funniest stories at dinner." This use of would shows repeated actions in the past, especially those we miss. By learning these words and expressions, you build the ability to speak with empathy, a skill that goes far beyond grammar. You become more than a language learner. You become someone who can offer comfort, share memories, and connect deeply with others across cultures and experiences. Across different cultures, honoring the dead is not just about looking back. It's also about teaching the living. These traditions often carry lessons about gratitude, family values, and the importance of being present. When people gather to remember someone who has passed away, they are often reminded of what really matters in life: kindness, connection, and legacy. Let's take a closer look at the word legacy again, but from a broader angle. In English, we use this word not only for famous people but for anyone who left something meaningful behind. You might say, "Her legacy was her compassion," or "His legacy lives on through the people he helped." Legacy can be a physical object, like a house or a book, or something invisible, like a spirit of generosity or a love of learning. It's a powerful word that gives depth to your English vocabulary. Now, let's look at the phrase "make peace with the past." This expression is useful when talking about emotional healing. For example, "Through these family rituals, we make peace with the past." It means we stop fighting with memories or regrets and start accepting what has happened. This is a helpful phrase not just for death, but for many emotional situations. Another beautiful expression is "a life well lived." It's a respectful and kind way to describe someone's journey. You might say, "We came together to honor a life well lived." It means the person made a positive impact and used their time wisely. This phrase appears often in speeches and obituaries. Let's also consider the expression "in their honor." This is a way to say that we do something to show respect for someone. For instance, "We planted a tree in her honor," or "They held a concert in his honor." It's a useful phrase in both spoken and written English, especially when describing ceremonies or personal gestures. Now here's an interesting cultural note. In many English-speaking countries, especially the United States, people often personalize how they remember someone. They might create a memory book, start a charity, or organize a run or walk. These acts are modern forms of remembrance that go beyond religious traditions. And they all involve expressions like dedicated to, in memory of, or in loving memory. From a language point of view, these expressions are often followed by a noun or name. This bench was placed in loving memory of Jack Thomas. The award was created in her honor. As an English learner, practicing these structures helps you speak and write in a way that is respectful, thoughtful, and natural. All of these phrases help us express love that doesn't end, even when someone is gone. They allow us to tell stories, share feelings, and carry someone's influence forward. And in doing so, we connect not just with the past, but also with the people around us, in the present. When we think about traditions that honor the dead, we often find something unexpected: joy. In many cultures, remembering someone is not only about grief but also about gratitude. People sing, dance, cook, decorate, and tell stories. These moments remind us that love doesn't disappear. It changes shape, and language gives us the tools to express that transformation. Let's begin with a useful phrase: celebration of life. In English, this term is used more and more in place of the word funeral, especially in modern contexts. A celebration of life focuses on joy, not sorrow. People gather to remember the happy times, to share laughter, and to talk about how the person inspired them. You might hear, "We are having a celebration of life for our friend this weekend." Another expression that fits well here is remember with joy. This phrase shows that it's okay to feel happiness when you think of someone who has passed. For example, we remember her with joy every time we hear her favorite song. This is a gentle and uplifting way to keep someone's spirit close. Now let's look at the phrase a lasting impact. This means someone's life made a difference that continues even after they are gone. For example, his kindness had a lasting impact on our community. You can use this phrase in both formal and informal English, and it's especially useful when writing or speaking about someone's contribution. From a grammar perspective, this is a great time to review present perfect tense, which is often used when talking about someone's effect on others. She has touched so many lives. They have inspired generations. This tense connects the past with the present, showing that the influence continues. You may also hear the expression inspired by their memory. For instance, we started a scholarship inspired by their memory. It shows that a person's life becomes a motivation for good. This phrase can also be used in personal writing or public speaking. Another powerful term is healing. Healing is not just physical, it's emotional, too. Many people find healing through ritual, prayer, or storytelling. You might say, the ceremony was part of their healing journey, or talking about her brings healing to our hearts. In English, the word healing is often associated with gentle, ongoing progress. As we finish this reflection, let's remember that language is more than vocabulary. It's a bridge between emotions and understanding. Whether you're talking to a friend, writing a letter, or listening to a podcast, you now have the words to speak with respect, warmth, and clarity. Thank you for being a part of the English Podcast Zone.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. November 2, observed in some Christian churches as the Day of the Dead.
All Souls Day. Among. Among. Confer honor on. Honor. The people who have passed away. The departed.
Let's try that faster.
Among. Among.
November 2, observed in some Christian churches as the Day of the Dead.
All Souls Day. The people who have passed away. The departed. Confer honor on. Honor.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
All Souls Day. We surrender our souls to His holy presence. All Souls Day. Some would say that he is a damned soul. All Souls Day. Many live their lives in fear of what could be of their souls in an afterlife. Among. I believe that the spirit of my grandfather walks among us. Among. There is a traitor among our lines. Among. He is no longer among the living. Honor. It is respectful to honor those who died for a better life for us. Honor. They are honoring their traditions by dancing for 3 days non-stop. Honor. She couldn't have been honoring her name by doing such things. The departed. The day to honor the departed is about to come. The departed. Many members of my family have departed from my side. The departed. We should remember and respect the departed.